Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Season 6 of Eye on the Future with Lady Fontaine and co-hosts Jim Elkin and Paul LaPlaca. To schedule a reading or learn more about Lady Fontaine, also known as America's #1 love psychic, be sure to check out Lady Fontaine's website at ladyfontaine.com. Now, here's Lady Fontaine with co-hosts Jim Elkin and Paul LaPlaca.
Good evening and welcome to Eye on the Future and Happy New Year. This is Season 7 and Episode 1. Today is Thursday, January 13th, 2022. I am your host, Paul LaPlaca, along with our in-house spiritual wizard, Jim Elkin, and our resident psychic extraordinaire, Lady Fontaine. She's also known as America's #1 love psychic and is a certified life coach and relationship expert. Tonight's topic is forgiveness. Call us at 319-527-6216. We would love to hear from you. Remember, you can reach Jim, me, or Lady Fontaine by emailing us at radioshow@ladyfontaine.com. If you have any topics that you would like to hear on future shows, email us to let us know. If we select your suggestion for a show topic, you will receive a free introductory 15-minute psychic reading or life coaching session with Lady Fontaine. Call us at 319-527-6216. If you would like to be on Lady Fontaine's mailing list, please give Mike, our call screener, your real email address so we can keep in touch with you. Since we are doing video, for those of you who don't know, James Elkin is our healing expert. Say hi, Jim.
Hi, Jim.
And of course, our lovely psychic, relationship expert, and intuitive life coach, Lady Fontaine. In case you're wondering, she's the one without a beard. If you miss a show, you're the only one.
Wait. Here I am.
You need to trim that. That's not the...
All right, here I am, back.
if you miss a show, you'll be able to catch up at any time at Eye on the Future radio show. That's on our YouTube channel, our Facebook page, or listen to the podcast on Blog Talk Radio, iTunes, or any other podcast platform. We've got a jam-packed show tonight. We'll be taking calls throughout the show, so please be patient. We will do our best to get every caller on the air to answer your questions. If you call in, you'll be able to listen to the show while on hold. Our phone lines are open, and our switchboard, as always, is lighting up, and we want to hear from you. We'll be taking your calls at 319-527-6216. Lady Fontaine and her panel of experts are here to help guide you through life's challenges and joys. Call in for a free psychic reading or love and relationship guidance, or in any other stories or experiences that you want to talk about. Just a reminder, when calling, this is radio. We love to hear from you, but we need real questions, not general questions like, what is going on in my love life? Is there someone in my future? Do you see a new job coming up for me? We need specific topics and questions, and please be prepared to discuss your situation on air. Those of you watching us on YouTube, please hit subscribe to be notified of our new shows and leave us comments. In order for us to continue to do video streaming, we really need your help and support in liking and following us on all these various platforms. Now, since this is your show, Lady Fontaine, I want to turn the mic over to you.
Well, first of all, Happy New Year to you guys and to everybody listening or watching out there. And I want to start the show today with a quote. Now, I've read the quote before on the air, but to me, it's a very meaningful quote. And even though it sort of references a woman by saying gorgeous and fabulous and stuff like that, it could also apply to men. But I'm reading this because I want it to be a reminder of why I do the show. It's really for you guys. It's really to help you. And it's not only to do 5 or 10 minute readings on the air, but it's really to make a difference in your life. We try to either pick topics that you suggest, which we're always welcome to hearing from you, or topics that people are always asking me about. And we want you to grow and we want you to learn on this show. So in any event, this I have to read. I don't know this by heart. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel, it says won't feel insecure around you. It must be won't feel insecure around you. Does that sound right?
So there's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people will feel insecure around you. All feel insecure around you, yeah.
Right, that's what I mean. It didn't sound like it was right there. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. And for those of you who might not know, that's a Marianne Williamson quote from A Return of Love, Reflections on the Principles of A Course in Miracles. And that truly is one of my favorite quotes because it really, I mean, the words, you don't serve anybody by playing small. And I think most people are afraid to really be themselves and really shine. And it's really our fear of having it all that holds us back rather than our fear of, I mean, because many people are stuck in not having the things that they want, and the only thing holding them back is them. So I'm hoping this year, this will be the last time I have to read that because we're all going to shine and manifest everything that we truly want, myself included. So in any event, tonight's show is on forgiveness, but before we hit that topic, I want to say two things. One thing is, for those who don't remember, the reason why I wanted to do this show on forgiveness is a couple of shows ago, somehow we just hit on the topic of forgiveness somehow. And Jim came up with his take on it, and Paul and I had a different perspective of it. And that was like the floodgates broke loose. I mean, we got so many emails not understanding what Jim was referring to and what he really meant. So when we start to talk about forgiveness, I'm going to turn the mic over to Jim, and I want him to explain it, and we'll have some discussion about it. We welcome callers who have any take on it, who want to call in and discuss it. But it seems like it's a hot item, and I think it's really an important topic for us because without forgiving, I mean, Jim and I might have a little bit different perspective of this, but without forgiving, I believe you actually hold yourself back from growing and evolving and truly living your life to the fullest. So, all that being said, we're going to hit on forgiveness soon. But, Jim, I need to ask you, what the heck is going on astrologically? Last show, we didn't really have a chance to go into a lot of astrological influences for 2022. But what patterns I'm seeing in with clients, there's too many similarities. Now, I know that Venus is retrograde, and I believe it's going direct on the 29th. So I'm going to ask you what the impact of that is. But what else is going on? Because what I'm finding with clients is I have a lot of clients that are having car accidents, which I find very unusual. And it's not just a one isolated kind of scenario. It's that they're telling me I had an accident and then this happened and then my father had this and then this happened and I broke up with my boyfriend or my marriage ended and blah, 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 blah. So there's a million things that seem to be spinning out of control. And when I see so many clients having the same kind of issues, I suspect that there's some planetary influence. So can you give us a little bit of an overview of what's going on?
I just hit somebody on a bike today.
You what?
You're kidding.
I just hit somebody. I was coming out of my parking garage and I hit somebody on a bike, an electric bike.
Oh my God, are they all right?
Who cares? Yeah, they're fine. It was just a tap. They came out of nowhere though, and they actually hit me, and it was just a bump. But it's funny you mentioned car accidents with astrological influence because I had one today too.
See, and I mean, this, thank God, didn't happen to me now, but many, many years ago, I was in a parking lot and a guy on a bicycle ran into my car. So, I mean, things like that happen, but I'm seeing so many, like, it's almost like I cringe. I'm talking to a client and they start out, well, I had a car accident and then this happened and that, and it just is weird. So, Jim, what's going on?
Well, I did find that at this time, most of the planets actually all of the planets are in half of the sky. And half of the sky is completely empty of anything.
Now, could I just make a comment to
Sure.
that? When I was born, that's what my natal chart looked like. So what does that mean?
That's called a bowl pattern.
A what?
A bowl pattern. Bowl, as in a thing that contains...
bowl.
Bowl.
Okay.
Bowl.
BOWL.
That's the one.
Yes. So hold me up.
As opposed to the hat pattern, which is like, the bowl pattern.
Okay, we got it.
Okay, and so all the planets are on the side of the chart, and nothing is on the other side. So if you look out in the sky at certain times of the day or night, you won't see anything actually in the night because the sun is one of those planets. You won't see anything up there as far as planets are concerned, just stars. That kind of makes the revolution of the sky kind of like a beach ball that's got a... Have you ever seen one of these beach balls they've got that have like a punch of sand in a little pocket on one side? So when you spin the beach ball, it kind of goes wooga, wooga, wooga. It's a really strange pattern because it's centering on where the sand is instead of the center of the beach ball. That's kind of what's happening in our lives right now. So it becomes kind of a bouncy ride. Sometimes things will be moving very quickly forward, and sometimes they'll slow down. And we've got to move and adjust with those patterns in order to be able to survive without injury or event. In addition to that, because of that compactness of all the planets in one side of the chart, they tend to aspect each other a lot more frequently. And so you're getting a lot more changes going on. Sometimes it's going to be a square, which is kind of a hard aspect, a difficult aspect. And sometimes there'll be a trine, so there'll be a smooth moving aspect, or other aspects that are in between all that. And because those aspects are showing up, you're going to see a lot more things popping up spontaneously and maybe disappearing spontaneously. Things the way you think, things in your life, things going on around you. So that's another thing that could be going on that will move away in a few weeks when the sun moves away from its close location with all the older planets, the outermost planets.
Do you know when that started? Because I saw this pattern start at the end of December.
So you're breaking up an awful lot. Try not to touch your desk.
I'm not. I'm really not.
Do I know when that started?
No, I can't think unless I...
Do I know when that started?
Yes, because I've seen this pattern since December. You'll see. I'm not touching it. I must have a mic issue right now.
It's not connecting it. It's not flashing now. I've noticed that when you're moving your hands around, it tends to do that. So maybe you're bumping the desk or something.
I have
don't
my
know.
hands up here to show you I'm not doing anything.
It's not flicking in and out right now, so it's proving
All
me
right. So I'm going to stay like this the whole
Okay.
show. So
there you go.
You'll see. All right.
Let's do this.
No, I have the shoulder issue. I don't want to aggravate.
Oh no, okay. Don't do that.
Right. So this will be good.
All right. So this all started. I mean, you can follow the sun's movement into Capricorn, and before that, Aquarius, right? Yes, Aquarius, Capricorn, Pisces. No, it's Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces. I'm sorry. Yes, Sagittarius. So it's moving through Sagittarius.
Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So it's moving through Sagittarius. I always have a hard time with that. I have to look at charts. I created a memory thing for myself just to get it. Into Capricorn. That was early December, and then even before that in Scorpio, moving into Sagittarius, it was probably not as prominent because that tugs all the three planets, the Sun, Mercury, and Venus, away from the rest of the planets. So, but right now the Moon is also in part of that group, so it doesn't even have the imbalance or the possibility of the Moon balancing everything else. So I would say back in November.
All right, that's what I needed to know.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, Jim, you mentioned.
I was just asked like that. Go ahead.
There it goes again. Whatever you just did.
Me?
Yeah.
I didn't touch. My hands have still been here.
No, I saw you move them.
No, they've been up here. My elbows are bent. I haven't. So I mean, they're getting tired of going like this. So they're here. I'm
Okay.
not. There's something going on. I mean, Paul, you were going to say something. Let me go check again the connection in the back. Otherwise, I'm going to have to reboot. And that
do you
takes
have
a
any
long time.
any other programs open or anything else that could be using up
No.
your computer brain?
No, I rebooted. I'm wondering though if my router needs to be rebooted.
Try just
I think-
re-signing into Zoom. I have a couple questions for Jim, and that'll get us up to speed.
Okay.
Re-sign into the Zoom call. So, Jim, you mentioned aspects, and I don't think we had a chance to talk about that during the show on astrology. What does that mean when you have these planets in different aspects?
Okay, well, if you think of the zodiac as being like a large circle, and the planets are considered spots or points on that circle, and so the relationship between the 2 points of the circle is considered an aspect, and there are certain relationships that are paid a lot of attention to, like oppositions, where you have a 180-degree aspect from one planet to another planet, and a trine is 120 degrees. A square is a 90-degree aspect, and then a lot of in between that.
Okay.
Some of them are harmonious, meaning that they make things move smoother, and some of them are not so harmonious and maybe even malevolent, really hard on you. So a lot of aspects to Mars, for example, is considered troublesome, and
Right.
Uranus and other planets. So.
Now, is that because specific planets have certain characteristics that we attribute to them, and then how they are attached to our sign? That is an aspect, like what angle it.
Well,
comparing
if we run a transit chart on your natal chart, we would
Mhm.
put the wheel of the current sky up against the wheel of the moment you were born, and then we would look at aspects between the planets from your original, from your birth, and how they relate to the planets that are going on today, and that will give us a lot of information about what's going on right now in your life.
Fascinating. So with all of these different lines that you're drawing in a circular zodiac chart and your natal chart, does this have anything to do with some of the forms we see in sacred geometry?
Not so much.
Not so much.
Yeah, that's pretty much an independent form of work.
Okay. I was just curious if there was any connection there, because we see a lot of mandalas and other images that are really interesting and fascinating to look at. I was wondering if it had any connection to an astrological chart.
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. All right. I'm out of questions.
Okay.
Jill, you back? Lady Fontaine?
Yes.
There we
All
go.
right. So I still have one question though.
Shoot.
So in my natal chart, everything is all on one side. It's all on like the lower left-hand side.
Yeah.
What does that mean? That means my life is going to be chaotic?
Well, we kind of went over this when we reviewed your chart, but it means that there are times when things will go really slow, and sometimes when things will really be going fast. It means that all the energy of your life is concentrated on the houses and the signs that those planets are focused in. So the closer together we had a little while ago, we had a grand conjunction. People born at that time
Right.
have everything within almost 2 signs. It's very close. So those people are going to be really very biased, very one-sided. They're not going to be able to see the rest of life because it's all everywhere else. But that'll change.
For a
as
while
time goes
there,
by.
Paul was actually headless there for a moment.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
I was petting my cat.
No, but
Oh.
the way with your background it came through was that your head disappeared.
Well, I did just get married.
I know what that has to do with it.
I've done that
on,
before. I know how that is.
Oh boy, here we go. Here we go.
So
All
anyway,
right.
the
So,
Mercury
go ahead.
retrograde, doesn't seem to be impacting us yet because all Mercury has done right now is held still. It's not moving forward, and it's not moving backwards. It's stationary right now. What could happen once it goes retrograde is going to be a different story because the Venus right now is retrograde in Capricorn along with Uranus, and the two of them are hammering things up. Your relationship are being reevaluated. Our values as a whole are being reevaluated. When Mercury goes retrograde, we're going to have three planets, all three working. The Uranus is known as the Great Surpriser, the planet that comes in and throws a wrench into everything that was working so smoothly and makes a total mess out of it all, just because you need that in order to reset and come up with a better and newer way of moving forward. So when it's retrograde, who knows what's going to happen. So I think it's probably more the Venus and Uranus retrograde that could be impacting a lot of this. It doesn't really directly relate to electrical equipment or cars or vehicles, but it could a lot impact the way we're making choices, whether we're making good choices or not. So a lot of people are driving. I've noticed a lot of people are driving like we're living in Bangkok. And that has concerned me a lot. I've managed to keep out of trouble, but that's because I'm expecting them to drive like they're in Bangkok.
Yeah, it's got to be a lot more troublesome on a bike seeing that, but I've noticed it too. People that haven't been on the road for a while because of COVID, it's like you're out on the road with a bunch of 15-year-olds again, and it's like they've forgotten how to be aware of their surroundings. You know,
Yes.
It's been a nightmare in New York City for sure.
So that's part of it, I think.
So with Venus going direct, I believe it is on the 29th.
That's Uranus. Venus is on the 18th, I think.
Really?
Let me confirm.
Oh, so that's almost here. I thought it was the 29th.
Confirming. Hang on.
While you're looking that up, though, my question to you is, do we see immediate results, or is this a transition period of like a week or two for it really to kick in?
Oh, I got it backwards. I'm sorry. January 18th is Uranus and January 29th is Venus. I'm sorry.
All right, because I thought the 29th. I had that in my head because, oh my God, the onslaught of breakups and heartache that clients are experiencing now is pretty profound. It really is. How often does Venus go retrograde? You know, like twice a year or something like that?
A little more frequent. I know Mercury goes retrograde every 88 days. It goes through a complete year cycle. So it starts retrograde every 88 days. I forget the Venus cycle. I think it's like 120 days. Maybe it's more. I forget now.
All right.
I can look it up.
I mean, you know, if you happen to have it, that would be great. I'm just curious because I'm seeing the cycle with the accidents and everything that I haven't really seen before. That's
every
part.
Sorry, every 224.7 days.
All right. So it's more like once every almost 10 months or so?
Yeah, something like that. It's more than it's less than twice a year. Put it that way.
Right. Okay. Well, that's good. That's good. Well, thank you for that insight because I was curious if there was astrological influences. Is there any good news coming up that you can share with us before we hit our topic?
It's going to be an exciting year.
I've heard it's going to be a magical year, a truly magical year.
Yeah, for the details, we could go back to the previous show when we covered all that. But yes, it's there's a lot in store for us. I don't know how much fun it will be, but that depends on how it ends up. I mean, it could go either way.
To me, magical means good stuff.
Well, to me, magical means influence that isn't following the patterns that we're used to or following the patterns of nature. So there you go.
Sounds
it could be
good
anything.
to me.
Either way.
Jim, you've got a
Sounds-
different definition for everything.
Well, I try.
That's because he's a sage. Sages have different definitions
Well,
for
that's.
everything.
I feel like that's the beauty of our teamwork here is we have really different perspectives. And I'm teasing you, Jim, but I really respect that. Magical to you means something very specific and part of a lot of your studies. It's not just something on the surface.
Not a Disney
a
magic.
deep connection to something that you said that's not.
Thank you.
You know, it's not part of our natural understanding. It's outside of that. Whereas to the normal person, magical just means, something good.
Right, because
Right?
to me, magical means good.
Right.
For Jim, it sounds like it means anything other than the normal could be good or bad. They have magical is magical.
Right.
When
'Cause
something's magical, it's phenomenal in my eyes.
Okay. Well,
there's good and bad magic.
if even in places like
Well, that is
movies like
true.
Harry Potter or groups like that, they realize that that you can't have the good without the bad, and that's a very yin yang kind of looking at things, and that's really the approach that I have managed to bring as part of my worldview. So I don't have any idea of anything as absolutely good. It's just what I do with it that makes it good.
Well, let's
And that's all that
transition
matters.
that to our topic because the reason we're having the show tonight is because your perspective on forgiveness is different than mine and Lady Fontaine's. So let's start with the definition. The simple definition is to stop feeling angry or resentful towards someone for an offense, flaw, or a mistake. That's like the most basic definition of forgiveness. And as I was raised Catholic, for me, the teachings of Jesus were always in line with do unto others as you would want them to do unto you. And if somebody does a wrong to you and slaps your cheek, turn the other cheek and take another slap. The whole Christian, nonviolence kind of teachings that I was taught teach forgiveness on a very deep level that 7 times 7 times 7, you should accept somebody doing a wrong to you. So that I don't really carry that as much as I used to. In real life, it's harder for me. So I've turned my definition of forgiveness into just letting go. I let go of you. I let go of my feelings of anger towards you. But if you hurt me enough, I'm letting go of you entirely. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. If somebody is abusive to you in any way,
Right.
forgiving doesn't mean you still let them into your life to continue the behavior and the treatment that is abusive towards you. So, Jim, what was your take on it again? Where did we diverge?
Hello? Can you
I'm
hear
sorry,
me?
you're still,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
Go ahead.
We're talking all over you, and it's your show.
I haven't said anything
But
yet.
to me, I just want to make a comment on what you said. To me, that's defining your boundaries, and that's a protective mechanism. That's protecting yourself, which is 100%, in line with what I would what I would teach or what I would agree with. Mm-hmm. For me, forgiveness is very similar, but the main reason to forgive, which I think is different than Jim's reason, maybe not, is for yourself, because oftentimes the person is long gone, they don't even remember what happened, and they've moved on from it, and you hold on to that hurt, that anger, that frustration, whatever it is, and that's hindering you from becoming full, whole, happy, lovely, whatever. So to me, it's you do it for yourself. You free yourself up by forgiving. Now, of course, if it's someone that you're involved with in a relationship, that's a whole different scenario, which I want to discuss after Jim tells us. Because I have a couple questions about what I remember Jim saying last time. But, Jim, I want to turn the mic over to you for you to explain forgiveness from a sage's point of view. The Jim sage's point of view. Forgiven one point of view.
Okay. So you just did a little bit of the first part of my thing. So you're telling me what you think it means, which is what I want to hear. But I'd like to hear is thinking back on an instance when you forgave someone. that
you
you
want
can.
me to think about it right now or
Yes,
talk
yes.
about it?
Yes, and that I want
I
an
have
instant.
one
Excuse me.
situation
Wait.
that I have not
Whoa,
forgiven.
whoa. Don't talk.
Yeah.
This instance, it has to be something that you're willing to share, so it isn't like a revelation of anything that's and the details of it, because we're probably going to dig into that as we're moving through this.
Do you want me to tell you something that I have forgiven someone for, or something that I have not forgiven someone for?
I want the act of forgiveness.
Okay.
And if you can't find one, it means you're in trouble.
I'm
kidding.
trying to think of what I want to share, not what
Yeah,
I want,
yeah.
one that and people look to me for answers and everything. That I want to share. There's a few that I haven't forgiven. I realize that now.
Okay. Well, it looks like Paul may have come up with one. So do you have one,
Paul?
Paul?
Go ahead.
I do.
That you want to share?
Yeah, for me, my first marriage ended really badly when I first moved to New York City, and I would have people ask me questions and say, "So what happened? Are you still in contact with her? What do you blah blah blah?" And my response early on always was, "I wish her nothing but the best, and I'm going to keep on saying that until it becomes true." So eventually, because I was willing to say it, even though I didn't mean it, saying I forgave her, saying I let go, eventually did become true, and I was able to let go. My wife, my new wife now, has a similar story because she wants to get on the show all the time. I have to whisper because she's in the room. So she wants to give advice and say, when she right
She
before
can come on
the
any
show when you're in
time.
the room, you know?
No, I told her she can't.
She can come on any time.
But she said right before we were introduced, she had a really bad breakup, and it was 6 months into the end of the breakup afterwards, and she finally had a conversation with one of her girlfriends on a Friday night and said, "You know what? I forgive him, and I welcome it as a learning experience, but I'm letting him go, and I'm ready to move on." On Sunday, we were set up for our first blind date. So forgiveness in these situations,
It does let you go.
It
does free you up.
yeah, it frees up your energy to accept the new things
Okay.
coming in. If you
Now-
hold on to grievances, you're holding on to that negative energy,
I
and
agree.
there's no room to let anything else in.
I
Yeah,
agree.
So forgiveness
To me,
is for you.
To me, you're just mixing up and creating chop suey out of all
Okay.
these great ideas, but it's chop suey, and you're calling it forgiveness. I think it's chop suey.
Okay, explain.
Okay, because you're talking about letting go, for example. Now, you know people that have been in your life that did things that really offended you, and you won't let go. Or you might let go, but letting go isn't forgiving. You won't let that person back into your life.
But that's if you're not letting them back in because you're angry at them.
No.
That's not letting go.
I'm not saying angry. I'm saying
Okay.
you won't let them back in your life because they did something, and it was not forgivable. But you're not going to hold on to the toxin. You're not going to hold on to the anger. You don't have to hold on to that stuff. You can just say, "Done with him."
That's forgiveness.
Right,
The door
like
shut.
what Paul was
It's not
explaining
forgiveness.
before.
That's letting go. Forgiveness is repairing a relationship.
I don't see that in the definition here.
Okay, it's implicit. It's implicit, and that definition, by the way, is not the definition.
I disagree. I have forgiven many people
me.
that I'm never
Wait,
going
okay.
to let into my life under any circumstance.
Okay. You don't know anybody that has gone so far as to do something wrong that you would just never close the door on.
Sure, I've closed many doors.
Okay, but
I-
you've forgiven them.
For people.
I think you've let go of.
But I
think
will
you've
never.
let go.
I thought you just said that what Paul said was whatever Paul or I said was
Absolutely.
letting go, not forgiving or something.
That's what I'm
It's
trying to
chop
say. The whole idea of letting go is I'm not going to hold on to the anger. I'm not going to hold on to the toxic feelings that I have about that. I'm not even going to hold on to the person. I'm just dropping all of that out of my life. That's letting go. Okay? Got it?
Go ahead. We're listening.
Because forgiveness
The
involves
look on
how
Paul's face says it all.
I want to relate to this person in the future. Letting go says I don't want to relate to this person in the future. Forgiveness is how I treat people that I want to keep a relationship with.
What school of thought are you coming from that's part of that definition for you?
It's all over psychology when they talk about forgiveness. There's lots of people. There's
within
more,
psychology, and your definition means we have to repair the relationship and still have a relationship with the situation or the person that caused us harm?
That's the reason that you would have forgiveness for a person.
I disagree.
Well,
I know
let
you
me
do, but
interject
that doesn't
here.
mean you're right.
No,
Let me interject here. In psychology, I mean, like if I'm working with couples or I'm working with whatever, more than one person, and one person has hurt another person and there's a committed relationship that they want to fix, that does involve what Jim is explaining and talking about, which is the kind of forgiveness, which actually is, I always talk about having this deep emotional connection with somebody and having those deep heart-to-heart conversations. To be able to offer forgiveness to someone that you love and truly let go of your feelings of hurt and any negativity or whatever it is truly a way to bring two people together. In fact, I made reference to this in the script. There's a psychologist, Dr. Rich Nicastro, that specializes in this, and he has a book called Hurt by the One You Love, The Power of Forgiveness in Intimate Relationships. And it deals very much in the scenario that I believe Jim is talking about being able to forgive in order to let them back in. There are many situations, I mean, that's an intimate.
You're breaking up, sorry.
I don't know what to do about it at this point. Is it better when I'm closer to the mic? Is it better when I'm closer to the mic?
Could be.
Yeah,
it's hard to say.
All right, so we're gonna have to do this for now. Until I figure this out. But I do see a red light is going off on this every now and then, and I don't know why.
Okay.
Did I just break up?
No. But
All
you
right.
need to put the mic on something solid because every time you touch it to anything, it will. You can bring it up close to you, but just put it on something solid so it doesn't shake around. There you go. Try that.
All right, and now you can see all the lights on the mic. So
yeah.
That'll okay. So there is a school of psychology that does address that, and that is a particular type of forgiveness in a committed or intimate relationship. Because truly, I mean, he even talks about in his book, which I think is like ultimate, worst thing is cheating. What do you do if a partner has an affair? And he does have methods to enable you to forgive and let go and work through it, because you have a choice. Are you willing to throw it all away, or are you willing to work it through and have a truly meaningful relationship? So there is a school of thought that mimics what Jim is saying, but there's also a lot of school of thoughts that mimic what you and I are saying, Paul, as well. But go ahead, Jim.
So there are several. Worthington and Dickard, Moore, people like that have talked a lot about this. In fact, they break it down to the point where forgiveness is one of the stages that you would go through in the process of bringing a person back into a healthy relationship with you in a relationship.
But is that defining forgiveness, or is that an aspect of using forgiveness within that process?
That's the point. Because I can't imagine forgiving someone, because for me, forgiving means bringing them back into a place of trust or working in that direction. Let's put it that way.
Okay. I can see that, and I appreciate that. But what if it's not appropriate for you to continue a relationship with them, and you still need to let go? You still need to stop feeling angry and resentful.
You use the key word. That's what I do. I let go.
Okay, so you're saying that's not true forgiveness because
the definition. Let me give you some words. Let me give you some definitions so we can be precise about how we talk about this, because we're chop sueying. So, for example, forgiveness is the process of deciding you want to have a person still in relationship with you, even though they've offended you.
Where do you see that definition? I'm not seeing that anywhere.
Okay, I will give you the link where you can find it.
Yeah, because if I just look up define forgiveness, I'm getting a very simple definition.
Yes, because
and
you're
I
looking
feel like
at the Webster's Dictionary definition, which
right,
is kind of a way of looking at it, which is kind of the common wisdom, but it isn't necessarily the wisdom that is the basis of the word. The word forgiveness, if you look back in Hebrew and Greek and Aramaic and places like that, you'll find it's largely about, how you deal with people who are in debt with you or people who have done something that's unlawful and how they should be punished or not punished.
right.
So if you forgive a debt, which we do today, forgiving a debt is a process of releasing someone from their responsibilities as far as that's concerned. If you forgive a prison sentence, it's a pardon. Again, it's nothing to do with all of this other stuff about reconciliation and all that stuff. It's just letting someone off the hook. Okay. So
the ultimate act, though, of forgiveness, there's two that I can quote. One is somebody that I knew whose brother was killed by this person, and this person, was caught, went to jail, and he was struggling so much with he meaning my friend, was struggling so much with his own anger that he made a conscious decision that he was going to go to the prison and tell this man that he forgave him for what he did. I mean, I have the chills just saying it. Yeah. I mean, that to me was the ultimate, ultimate indication or the ultimate, way of forgiving. And the other thing that comes to mind is many years back in the Amish country, there was a shooter that went.
I think he was there. I'm not sure.
Whichever it was in Pennsylvania, this shooter came to a school and killed a lot of the children. And I remember the families not literally took in, but gave such love and support and understanding and compassion to the wife of the guy that is beyond anything that I could do. I mean, that to me is the ultimate in forgiveness, which is beyond what I could do.
Okay.
What I think I could do.
So to me, there's a process, and this is the way I've kind of understood it from my readings in my life, as well as my readings recently to document it. There's forgiveness is involved in the idea of wanting to resolve. Basically, what they say is forgiveness is the stopping of hostilities between two people.
Who says that? Who says that? I'm just curious.
The Worthington and Drinkard
dictionary?
No, not dictionary. Those are two theoretical psychologists. It's in positivepsychology.com that I found this interesting idea.
Okay.
Okay. They talk about two primary ways. They talk about forgiveness being they have to bring hostilities to an end first. That is why nations declare ceasefire and truce. Only if an agreement to end hostilities is made will progress be made towards reconciling. Because reconciling is the true purpose of forgiveness, which is why I'm talking about it as being something you do to someone that you want to have, or for someone that you want to have in relationship with you.
So does that mean if I don't want these people in my life anymore, I'm not truly forgiving them?
You don't need to reconcile with them. You have no purpose for it. And so you agree to stop hostile action. You're going to communicate. You're going to make a contract. That's a reconciliation. And then you're going to start trusting each other at that point, because you've got a reason to trust, because you have a contract. So you have reconciliation, and then you have letting go following that. But letting go can happen without all that, because if a person does something terrible to you and you have no way to interact with them, you can still let go. Letting go is just...
You can't forgive truly unless you have a continued relationship with them, that you've rebuilt the trust. Is
There's
that what
no
you're
reason
saying?
to forgive someone unless that person is someone that you want to have close to you.
But forgiveness is not for the other person. It's for me to let go
I
of that
agree.
anger and
Right.
resentment. It's not for them.
Then why would
In
I
my
ask
mind.
you for forgiveness?
Okay.
Why would I ask you for forgiveness?
No,
Well,
that's the
you're
thing.
not
The
asking.
people I
You
have to
would be-
forgive have never asked for forgiveness. I have to forgive
Okay.
them because whether they ask for it or not, I have to let go of my feelings of anger and resentment towards them in
Then you
order
just
for me
let
to
go.
be. Yeah. Well,
Why
that,
do you
I
call
call
two
that
things with
forgiveness.
the same word? And so why can't one thing with two words? There could
Well,
be
I
either
ca-
forgiveness or letting go.
I can let go of somebody and still hate them and wish them harm. So that's not letting go. Is not forgiveness. It's not the same
It's
thing.
not
for
letting
me.
go. You're holding on to anger. You're holding
Well,
on to.
if I let them go and I don't have them in my life anymore, I've let them go, right? Like
No,
I
you
think
haven't.
we're getting so tied up in like our own definitions of things that we're missing the bigger picture. Where the difference for me is if
or
I
you could
if
be
I-
not accepting the terms that I'm trying to teach you.
okay, well I feel like you're saying my definition is chop suey because I'm mixing things together. I feel like you're adding with the psychological approach that you're adding so many layers
it's
and
one
depth to the
school of
process.
thought. No,
Got it.
it's one school of thought. There's many other schools of thought that agree that forgiveness is about you and letting it go, because the only person that you hurt is yourself by holding on, which is part of letting go. But many people can't let go until they consciously make that decision to forgive.
Right.
Mm-hmm. To let go.
All right, this is a great conversation. I love this, but let's get into some calls here. We've already ate up half the first hour.
All right. I would like to, I see there's a caller here that called in last week and we did not take her call. Can we start with her?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, you could
Okay.
take the call.
Hi.
Is this Kay? Is this Kay?
Yes, correct.
Hi, welcome, Kay.
Thank you. I've been trying
I'm-
forever
I'm-
to get in your queue. Never
I'm-
been able to speak to you.
I'm so sorry we
but
weren't
thank
able to
you.
get to you earlier. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I'm glad you're on now. How can we help you? What's your story? What's going on?
I just wanted to know if you see any something coming up in my love life. I'm currently single, and just wanted to know if there's somebody in. If there's a description, that would be great.
Oh, you're looking at me.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
For an answer here. All right.
Yeah.
I'm just scanning your energy, Kay, to see what I pick up. I was waiting for more of a story, so that would give me more time to zoom in on your energy. All right. So I feel somebody quite a bit in the future for you. It's not somebody that I feel is going to be entering your life like, in the next month or 2 months or 3 months. But the person that I'm picking up is, I would say, definitely a soul level connection for you, and definitely someone that, you could either build a future with or, you may end up with. I know you asked for a description, and what my guides are saying to me is what they feel you want to know. So I'm going to say that first, then I'll zoom in on if I could give you any more of a description. They're telling me, first and foremost, there is an openness in his heart, like trying to think, there's a vibrancy in his heart. They're saying an openness in his heart, but to me it feels like he radiates love. I mean, he's a genuinely good person. He feels like he's honest. He's really down to earth and grounded, but he feels like, like one of those magical people that when you're around, you could just feel that love and goodness and that generosity and that good nature just radiating from him. So he feels like an extraordinarily good guy. I feel like there's going to be a tremendous emotional connection that the two of you have. And what I also feel in the energy is in this way that his energy comes through, like he's the center of this glowing, radiating love, you're going to become part of it. It's almost like you become a team in a way of you sort of bond with him in a tremendous way. And regardless if you have that same nature or not, you're going to become what he is in that very generous, giving, loving, open, supportive nature. And that's all there in his energy. I feel that he's very much a family man. He shows me that the family unit is like a primary importance to him. And I feel, I'm very hesitant in saying what I'm about to say to you right now because of COVID and so many mandates and layoffs and people leaving jobs and everything. But when I look at his energy right now, he feels like he's got a great job. He feels like he's successful. He feels like a businessman. I do feel he's got investments on the side. So there's some sort of investment, either financial or real estate or some other kind of investments that he does on the side. He's a very shrewd businessman. But when I say shrewd, I don't mean in a negative way. I mean, he's a smart businessman, and he feels like he's got a great career. The reason why I hesitate in saying that is so much is happening and changing that, I don't know how things are going to be in a year or so when you actually meet this guy. So overall, it feels like you've got, somebody that you really can quickly have your back. He's extremely supportive, caring, family man, headed your way. I would say it's greater than a year. I'm feeling more like 18 months to 2 years in actually meeting him. But the one thing that my guides are saying is that, and I'm listening to them right now, there's a couple ways that you could kind of speed up that process as far as when you're going to meet them. I believe, and I don't know if you said it, but I feel it in your energy that you kind of feel like you're ready to draw in the right person. But what my guides are saying is there's still like residue and debris there that you do need to work through in order to really get to the point that you're going to draw him in. This is truly the connection that I feel with you too is truly what I would say almost a once in a lifetime scenario. And let me tell you, I work with people all the time and I rarely feel the kind of connection that I'm feeling here. So what my gut feeling is you have to clear out some, what are we talking about today? Forgiveness, letting go. Mm-hmm. It's about clearing out some of that old stuff and really being in that pure state of really being ready to allow this new person to come into your life. When was the last time you were in a relationship? Because it feels like there was a relationship. I don't know that you're holding on to the person. You're holding on to what to me feels like either the hurt or the trauma from the relationship. And that's what I feel my guides are really referring to.
That was like about 3 years ago. The person tried to reconnect, but then that was a relationship that I cut off completely. I don't want to be with somebody who constantly lies and doesn't. At first, I thought I didn't give the person opportunity. Then I decided to give them opportunity because I thought it was my fault. However, there were things that I recognized to me. If you're lying constantly, it's not done to be with somebody who is lying or just doesn't manipulative. So it's no.
But I feel you just really answered the whole dilemma right here, and it ties in perfectly with what we're talking about today. Mm-hmm. I believe what you did was what I was talking about. You defined your boundaries. You basically said, I'm not doing this anymore. This isn't for me, which is great. But I feel there's a part that you missed, and that part is either, and I don't know if we're going to call it forgiveness or letting go, whatever mm-hmm. it is. In this instance, you don't want him back in your life. So I guess it's, in Jim's terms here, letting go. But I feel there's layers in your energy that there are wounds there, and it's almost like you're on high alert, that you've got your tentacles out, and the first thing anybody does wrong, you're going to be ready for them this time. I'm not letting that happen again. And it's almost like I feel that in your energy And that I
Correct.
feel is something that you don't need to. But if you chose to work through that and kind of get yourself to that point where you become the center of your own universe and you become the strength, and nobody's going to knock you down no matter what they do. And you could just kind of, say next and move on and not worry about it and be in that more centered and grounded and maybe emotionally secure mode, which I don't quite feel you're there. So do you get what I'm saying? Does that?
No, I get it. I understand because I had somebody contact me. Another person contacted me recently, and I felt like they were kind of like, I think they wanted to go on a date, but they weren't being direct, and I just had to, I had to cut them out, I'm like, I don't have time to play. So I get what you're saying.
Right. But where I want you to come from is not that wounded part. You're still coming from a wounded part. Is try to find ways to work through those hurts and those traumas.
Okay.
So this way you're coming from a pure place of loving yourself. And I do feel a distinct difference in the fact that you're protecting yourself, but you're coming from a place of being hurt and wounded. So if you get what I'm saying, do it. If you don't, then reach out to me and I'll explain it further. All right?
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're very
Thank
much,
you so
Kay.
much.
Good luck to you. Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
Thank you. That really tied in perfectly. So you would call that what? Letting go, right?
I would call it letting go.
In your terms.
Yeah.
In your terms. So in my terms, I would say, yes, she has to let it go, but in order to be able to let go, she has to forgive, because the person that person is long gone. That's a perfect example. He's long gone. He's doing his own thing. It's holding her back. Mm-hmm. So the only way she's going to be able to not let it hold her back is to do inner work. I mean, there's more than just forgiving here. There's doing inner work and understanding why she put up with it and why she was drawn to that. Mm-hmm. Because now what she's doing is she's defined her boundaries very strongly, which I'm very delighted to hear and very respectful of. Right. But I believe she's holding herself back too by being on that high caution, high alert mode, that hypervigilant kind of state of mind. So, Jim, what do you think about all that?
I've like I said before, I'm looking for a precision around the use of these terms, because that helps me to be able to use them more effectively. So that's why I'm talking the way I am about forgiveness, because I hear forgiveness and letting go being used as the same idea. And so I have to ask, what's the difference? Why do we have two words for this one concept?
Well, I believe they're different, but I definitely believe they're different. I think letting go and forgiving are two different things. I could let go of somebody and never let them back in my life, which is, I believe, what Kay did, and not forgive them.
Exactly. You could do that.
Just to reinforce, you're saying by still holding on to the resentment and anger, even though you've let them go out of your life, you haven't truly let go, because those emotions are still.
You're very attached to them, because those emotions tie you, link you in. If you think of the kahunas, they talk about emotions being the threads that attach us to things. And this is an emotion that keeps me attached to something. So no, I haven't let them go until I've released anything.
So what's the term then, just for getting somebody out of your life? If that's not letting go, what would you call that? It's like
defining your boundaries.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. No, it's good to define these terms so we know what we're.
Yeah.
You just brought up something, and in fact, you had sent us maybe a week ago that thing about attachment and detachment. I think that's a great topic for a future show. Sure. I mean, Jim just brought it up, and I think that's our biggest problem, is that attachment. In fact, I'm reading a book right now. It's called Attachment, and it's basically an attachment style. And I mean, there are different styles of it. There could be a very secure, there's anxious, there's avoidance, and then there's a combination thereof. And based on experiences from your childhood, we adopt this way of life, this way of sort of being in a relationship. And I haven't gotten far enough to really know what the recommendations are. But that's just attachment in a relationship. I think we get attached to things, we get attached to emotions, we get attached to a lot of stuff.
Right.
So
Our own ways of doing things, and
Absolutely.
our
Yes.
rituals, our patterns, we're
Yes.
very attached to our routines.
Well, they
I
define us
agree.
Yeah.
in many ways.
Absolutely.
Not all the attachments do, but many of them do. So that's right.
Let's take another caller here. We don't want to run out
Okay.
of time like last week.
Dion
Man, we
seems-
took one call after the other last week. We didn't even
I know, we
talk.
still
Yeah.
didn't get them all.
Do we have a lot of callers tonight?
We do.
We-
We do. We have
we
a lot
do.
of calls
Okay.
tonight.
All right,
So
go ahead.
Dion has something else also related to our question, our topic. So let's hear
let's
from
take
her.
her. Yep.
Hello, Dion. Are you there?
Hi, thanks for taking my call. I'm really enjoying the show.
Great.
Oh, great.
Great. How what's your issue with forgiveness?
Okay, so I had something done to me by a group of people, and I struggled for a long time because I wanted justice to be, it was illegal what happened, and it left me in a bad spot. And for years, I tried to get, justice, and it just never came. Like, basically, they got away with it. And I realized at some point that this was just really hurting me, hurting my health, hurting my mind, hard for me to move on because I just wanted them to pay for what they did. And so what I did was I just let it go. I just kept saying every time it came up, no, I'm just going to let it go. The past is in the past. I can't change it, because I struggled with that whole word forgiveness. Like, I would never forgive these people for what they did, but I also need to move on and forgive myself for wasting any more time, because I know a lot of people are like, oh, never give up, keep fighting. Yeah, but at some point when it starts affecting your health and stuff, you just have to let it go. So I do agree with what you were saying, that it's such a fine line, because it's no, I don't want to, I want to let go of the feelings, but I can't let it go from my mind of what happened, for the same reason that you stated earlier. If I offer them forgiveness, would they ever try to come back into my life? It's not possible, right? So
that's according to Jim, not forgiveness. That's letting go then.
Absolutely.
According to his terms.
Yeah, but where I struggled with it was that the justice part, no matter
I
how
understand.
Yeah.
I get it. I'm about, when you're finished with your story, I'm going to share a story of something I went through, and that I didn't really want to talk about, but maybe it'll be a healing process for me to talk about it, that I struggle with. I'm sort of in the same exact boat that you're in with something. But so, do you have a question, or did you just call in to share?
I mean, my question is how do I, or do you feel like I'm making, have I made a difference in my energy? Because I've been working on this for years, and just, I had to let go of it because it was just hurting me. It was affecting my health and everything.
So Dion, I'm sorry to interrupt. When you say you're letting go, exactly what does that mean? You're deciding not to engage it anymore?
Right. I'm not engaging in it anymore. I'm not pursuing the justice end of it that.
But you're not letting go of the feelings.
No, I am. When that comes up, what happened, I just say, you know what? I let this go. I'm not going to let this affect me, and just keep moving on.
Excellent.
All right. So could I give my perspective of things?
Do it. Go for it.
All right. So what I feel you do when you do that, when you try to tell yourself you're not feeling something that you truly are feeling, is, first of all, you're not hearing yourself, and you're actually separating energetically from yourself, and you're not validating yourself. I feel a more powerful way of doing it is to say, it still bugs me, and then start understanding why it still bugs you and work through those underlying layers of why it still bugs you. Because resistance, and I believe we've done a show on resistance, when you have resistance, when you go to the gym and you do resistance training, what happens? You build stronger muscles. So when you start resisting a feeling that you truly have about something, that feeling isn't going to go away. It's going to get stronger and stronger and keep coming to the surface. Just like sometimes what we need is just somebody to say, I appreciate you, or, you're special or something. We need that validation. So my feeling is that facing it and dealing with those emotions that are under there rather than trying to bury them is a more effective technique. Because that resolves the problem rather than what I feel just like if I'm feeling anger and I say to myself, now I got to let that go. I got to forget about that, the way this person hurt me. But it still keeps coming up. It means there's something underneath that hasn't been resolved. Mm-hmm. And that's my point, that if it still comes up after several years, there's something deeper in there, and you're not really letting go. You're denying yourself the validation that you need to and I'm going to figure out why. Like when I work with people, I help them figure out the whys so that it's a totally autonomous process of what I call letting go. So it's like they let go and they end up having almost gratitude in their energy for having the experience. And that to me is true healing. When you tell yourself, all right, it didn't really bother me, or I'm not going to let it bother me, it's affecting my health and stuff, you're not really resolving the underlying issues. So let me say one thing though. There is a field in psychology called cognitive behavioral therapy, and that works solely on your thoughts rather than your beliefs. So that's like at the polar opposite of what I just described. With cognitive behavioral therapy, they would do just what you're doing, which is trying to convince yourself. Paul said it earlier, that he kept on saying to himself that he wished his ex-wife, his first wife, the best of everything, and he forgave her for everything, and he wished her well, and all this other stuff, and he said it till he believed it. That's cognitive behavioral therapy. That's the technique. There's different techniques that you use, but that's the fundamental premise behind it.
I thought it was just BSing myself.
Yeah.
I didn't know it had a fancy name.
That too. For me, it doesn't work. Cognitive behavioral therapy doesn't work because I'm a firm believer in it's our beliefs, not our thoughts, that drive everything in our lives. But for you, it worked. You have a different belief structure than I have, so you allowed that to work.
Wasn't that my thought process, though? Like I thought it, and then that thought became reality for me because I gave myself the ability to envision the possibility that I did wish her well, even when I didn't feel that way.
But I wonder if that's a way of brainwashing yourself.
I did. I brainwashed myself, but it worked.
Right. But does that really resolve the underlying issues? I don't know. I still think they're all there. And that's what I mean. When you bury this stuff, eventually it comes to the surface. So, Dion, what I really want to say to you is your energy does not feel bad to me. It absolutely doesn't feel bad. I don't feel that you have totally resolved the underlying issues. I feel you've got a decent handle on being able to control your own feelings and emotions about this situation, but I still feel it lingers. And I still feel it linger. It has a deep enough grasp on you that made me want to say everything I said to you about working on some of the underlying issues.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. I hope we were of some help to you.
You good?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's good. Thanks.
Okay. Thank
All right.
you.
You're very welcome. All right. Take care.
Bye.
All right. So I made mention of something that I wanted to talk about, and that's with the situation that I had with the dogs. in 2019, in October of 2019, Chanel, who was 4 years old, I'm not allowed, because we settled, and I'm not allowed to tell everything.
Okay.
But she had an issue. A vet totally misdiagnosed her and did something which ended up killing her.
Mm-hmm.
And then I took her to other university vets, and they totally misdiagnosed her again. And then I finally got her to Ohio State, who properly diagnosed her, and they did surgery, but it was too late. She died of sepsis. So you know that even today I was saying it's because she ended up dying on January 4th of I guess it was 2019 she died, so that must have been 2018. Yeah. That was 2018. That was the year it started.
I was in Asheville. I visited you that year. That's right.
Oh, all right. So that's how long it was already? Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez. So I know because I was lying in bed last night after Mike texted me at 1 a.m. to ask me if I want to go on the motorcycle. I'm sitting there and report that vet to the board. Should I do it? And I did look it up. There's no limit on how long. And the attorney that I used, because I did get my money back, and I got all the money back that I spent on that particular dog.
Mm-hmm.
Because, she caused me to have to go to 3 different vets, and that was not tens of thousands of dollars, but it was like $12,000. I don't think I was supposed to say that amount, but
no.
But bottom line is, I did check with that attorney, and she said there was nothing in the agreement that I signed that says I can't report her to the board. So clearly I'm surviving and I'm trying to deal with it, but I got bombarded with numerous other pets dying because of something someone else did. So it's like I've got 2 traumas in 2 areas. One, the person responsible for doing this to my dogs, and then all the vets that made stupid mistakes and didn't listen. And the irony is I was telling them what was wrong. I'm a psychic. I know my dogs. I looked it up. I found it, and nobody would believe me.
Mm.
So I clearly haven't let go or forgiven.
Mm-mm.
Right. And who
What's
gets
the
hurt
difference?
by it? Me.
What's the difference? What do you feel when
to
you
me,
say let go versus
if I forgave, I feel I could let go. I feel I would have to forgive the woman. Look, I have plenty of notes here about in an intimate relationship, forgiveness is about compassion. Put yourself in that other person's place. What I look at is when I was going to breed one of my dogs, and I ended up not doing it because of the holidays and we couldn't coordinate things, one of the so-called specialty vets they gave me was her name. Did that ever cringe? And I was thinking to myself, you have the audacity to market yourself. And that's you don't even know. I've got a good vet up north, and she looked at all the records, and she literally told my attorney this vet was an idiot, an absolute idiot, an imbecile.
So, Lady Fontaine, where do you feel like, call it what you want, forgiveness, letting go, or whatever. There's a process here for yourself that you need in order to heal. Where are you? When are you ready to do that? Though it's like you have to do it on your time.
I don't know.
Jim, what do you think? Like how can you help somebody get past it and move forward and let go so they can heal?
I think you touched on it. Talking to Lady Fontaine, I think you touched on it when you said justice. And this is a term that's also come up a lot in the conversation around forgiveness. If you feel like somebody should pay for something that's going on that happened, that means you want justice. And if you want justice, then you don't want forgiveness. It just doesn't happen.
Then I want justice.
Yeah. And I got it. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. That's why Justice Department's out there.
Right.
Right.
The courts of law are there the civil courts are there for us to be able to approach that. And that may be the plan you have to take in order to.
I
move
did
forward.
already, and
Yeah.
we settled. But I haven't. That wasn't enough for me because she killed my dog,
Yeah. So
a 4-year-old dog.
You at this point, your choices are more justice,
Which
or
I'm considering.
processing why you need justice.
Is
Those
that
are your choices.
Right. Just like
revenge
I
at this
told.
point, though? I mean, what's justice if it's not
Well-
balanced? Or have you not got full justice? Is there a balance yet?
She shouldn't be practicing. When I go to a vet and they
Mm-hmm.
tell me she's a specialist in that particular area, when she
Right.
killed and again, I have a real specialist up north who says she's an imbecile for not being able to. It was an easy diagnosis. There were external signs and there were internal. She did an ultrasound. There were internal signs. She missed them both.
Mm.
She was an imbecile. And it cost the life of a 4-year-old dog. That was my emotional support dog for me
Right.
being a 9/11 survivor. So that was a real tough one.
Right. So you're going to choose to go after her license.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
I think I'll feel good after that. But I know that they won't take her license away.
Oh, you don't know that. You don't know that. You only know that after they haven't done it. You know what I mean?
Right, but I don't think they would.
But you
I
may
don't
find
think
that there are other people who have similar problems with that
Right.
vet, and forming a class action suit would make it a lot easier, even if it's a
I see.
small
I
one.
can't sue now because I signed that I settled, so I can't sue. But I could go after. My attorney said I could go to the board.
Well, yeah.
There's no limitation in time to
Yeah.
go to the board.
So you can go
in
to the
this
board
state, in this state.
with a crowd of people who have also suffered from that vet's
Right.
ineptitude. Okay,
Right.
so that's a different question then. So that's one way to go, and that's
And
one
I
way
think
that you
that
could
would
resolve
make
this
me
for
feel
yourself.
better. Because I do believe in justice and I
Yeah.
do believe in balance. There has to be a balance. Because I got my money back, didn't bring my dog back.
Right.
So where's the justice in that?
That's purely financial damages. It's not
Right.
much there for your feelings.
Right. And there was no pain and suffering because the state considers a dog a
luxury.
possession.
Hmm.
Right. It's not, certain other states could give you, up to say $10,000 or whatever the number is. This state is not one of them. But, so
Right.
that's what I have or forgotten or let go of.
So it's an interesting point. 'Cause you can't get to a point of reconciliation until you've gotten past your need to have justice. And that works in any situation where you've been offended. Where
well, when you say
have,
reconciliation, I don't ever want anything to do with this woman. I
Exactly.
think she deserves to be in jail.
Exactly. I understand. And the fact that you're looking for justice is proof of that, and forgiveness is out of the question because it can't happen if they're still seeking justice.
Right. So then I
Let's-
should report her
And
to the board.
The way this shows up in relationships, interestingly enough, is the sniping thing. Where you'll
Is
do
the what?
something, the sniping thing, where
What
somebody
does that mean?
will poke at those things that you did to them.
Oh.
They'll bring them up in the most inconvenient times or in the most unpleasant ways as a way to kind of make you, I don't know, upset about it. And so
I know what you mean. Right.
that's a form of justice. That's a form of that person attempting to make you pay for what they did.
Right. And that
For what you did.
obviously is they haven't let go of it. But see, that's not healthy. If you're in a relationship, there are techniques to use to be able to forgive and be able to move on. I'm not, if you kill somebody, that to me is beyond. But what was the example I gave you before of two people that I admire, two instances that I admire so much that involve human death? And I said to you, I couldn't do it. I can't do it with a dog, much less doing it with a person.
Right.
Let's get another call in here.
Okay.
But thank you for sharing. I know that's a rough story. We've talked about it before, and we know how hard it is to bring back up.
Okay,
Thank
we've
you.
got someone here. Let's talk to her. Hi, Maria.
Yes.
Maria,
Hi.
you there? Hi.
Yes.
Are you
Yes.
are you on
Yes.
speakerphone?
Yes.
Would you please pick up your phone instead of using speakerphone?
Yes,
It makes
okay.
it very difficult to talk. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you too.
Are you there?
Yes.
Okay, great. Can you tell us what your story is? What's going on?
I want to know if my daughter gonna get the job from home.
You want to know if your daughter's going to get a job from home, working
Yes,
from home?
please.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
What's your daughter's name? Can you tell us?
Kat.
Sherry?
Kerry.
Sherry, okay.
So are you asking, Maria, is your daughter going to get one of those total work from home jobs? Or are you asking if she's going to get a job where she can work from home? There's a difference.
I think my daughter gonna work from home. My daughter not working right now. My daughter she gonna work from home or find a job. She can work from home.
I'm not feeling right away that that's going to happen. I'm not going to eliminate it from being a possibility, but I'm not feeling right now she's necessarily going to. Is she actively looking for work?
She was looking for.
But is she looking for work that
Yes.
is specifically work from home?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's going to be very hard for her to find something that she really likes. I think if she had a job that required her to go into the office or business place, and they would possibly allow her to work from home on certain occasions, I think that's much more likely. But I'm just not finding a work from home job in her future, in the immediate future for her. And I think the kind of job, what's her issue with going into the office right now? Is it COVID related?
Yeah, for this, situation for the virus,
Right. I think most companies would be understanding of her wanting to work from home. And if you ask me the question, is she going to get a job where they'll allow her to work from home? I have a different answer for you. If you're asking,
do a lot of work at home. You can tell me, please.
What did she say, Jim? Did you hear her?
No, I
Can
couldn't
you
make
repeat
it out.
that?
I'm sorry.
I say she can find. My daughter, she gonna find job to work home.
It's the same question.
Right, and it's the
So,
same answer.
Yeah,
Could you maybe explain it?
We can't elaborate that anymore. It sounds like that's not going to be too easy. It's going to require going to work at times.
Yes, I believe she needs to look for a regular job, and when she's interviewing, find out how flexible they are for her to work from home. And I believe she could find a job where a decent amount of the time she could work from home. But to look for a work from home job, I'm just not feeling it's going to be anything that's legit that really works for her.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Bye, Maria.
All right, good luck.
Okay.
All right, do you want to take another call?
Yeah, let's take another one.
All right, and then we'll talk a little bit more.
Okay, Nathaniel.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Nathaniel?
Good. I just think I got a new job here. How do you think it's going to work out?
So you have you started the job?
Yeah, they just called me today. I had an interview on Zoom, and they said, "Well, come on in for the pre-boarding applications."
For the what?
The pre-employment applications in literature.
But they haven't made the official job offer yet to you.
I think they have, but I still have to I still have to do the background check and everything.
Okay.
Oh, well, all right. I mean, that should, I would assume that's going to go relatively easy.
You would know better than anybody,
yeah.
right, Nathaniel?
What did you say?
So you would know if that's going to go okay or not more than anyone.
The background check. I'm not feeling snags. Is there any reason to think the background check isn't going to go well? I feel that will be a breeze.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
and then,
I'm not.
You think
ahead.
the job's going to go good? They want me to be real physical as a security guard and handcuff people and run after people.
Is that what you do? Is that
Well,
what you normally do?
Well, I'm a security guard, and it's at a casino. And usually casinos, I don't know, but this guy seems like he's a real stickler. He didn't really think that I would be good for the job, but he talked to the manager, and they said go ahead with the pre-boarding applications and literature.
Okay.
Well, let me say this: if they do make the official job offer and you get the job, I feel you're going to be able to do the job. I really do. I kind of feel
Lady Fontaine, I'm sorry, you broke up on that answer. So try one time. Try it again. Just try it again.
All right. So what I said was, I don't remember what I said. I just talk off the top of my head. I feel if you get the job, if the job offer comes through and you start the job, I feel you're going to do fine with it. I would say feel good about it and do what they need you to do. I feel these guys come off more as sort of testing you and seeing how aggressive or how you're really going to respond to things. I feel you would do okay with the job. You may choose not to stay there and you may choose to leave, but I feel that would happen before they would fire you.
Okay. Well, sounds good then. Do you think I'll be working in no time, huh?
Well,
sounds like it.
There's a good chance there'll be an opportunity for you. And let me say this, that if for some reason this opportunity doesn't come through for you, I actually feel something bigger or better for you that feels a little bit more aligned with you. But, you'll see how it goes. But good luck to you.
Keep your ears open.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
All right. All right. Is there anything else on forgiveness before we take more calls? Any other points you want to get across?
Well, it works. It works like a process. So the process of forgiveness would include the idea of resolving the need for justice, no longer trying to get that person to, to finally admit that they're an idiot or something, no longer trying to punish them for what they've done, and instead to the two of you to finally come to a place where you can start to talk. And then, and this happens at all layers, and some of this happens immediately. Like, the moment you realize that you need to find forgiveness, or that you need to forgive someone, the next step is to stop being hostile, to no longer need justice, and finally to communicate. And that communication is around assuaging the need for justice, on the victim's part, and the offenders need to be heard. And so, confession, explanation are methods typically used by both parties. And both sides need to be patient and respectfully listening to each other. Finally, you arrive at the point of reconciliation where a contract is made. I used an example. For example, let's say my partner doesn't put the toothpaste cap back on the toothpaste every time they use it, and that gets me angry. And so I jab them about it and make fun of them. You never put the booze in. And then eventually I arrive at a point where this is really getting me crazy. I think I need to resolve this. And so at that point, we've gone past the justice stage and we're now at the communication stage where I'll confront my partner and say, we need to do something about this because it's really getting me crazy. And they say, you're right, I do this. And so that's confession. You're right, I do this. And this is what I need to stop doing. And so they say, okay, I will from now on, either I'll stop putting the cap on, and if you see that I've forgotten to put the cap on, then remind me gently. And so there's a negotiation, a contract that you build, and then at that point there's a reconciliation. You can move on. Both of you have something to depend on. The person who's offended can depend on the other person to put the cap back on, and if it doesn't happen, they have a resolution. They have something they can do to work with that. It's a contract, two-way street. Both of you are protected to some extent. Unless it recurs and it's still offending you, then you have other choices to make. But the one really important point is forgetting. We always talk about forgive and forget in our culture, which is another myth in my mind. Forgetting is not something I can do with my intention. I can't just say, oh, I'm going to forget that, and it goes away. It doesn't happen.
Right, exactly.
So you can't forgive and forget, and anybody who claims they are is lying or pretending.
Most people can forgive, and most people never forget.
Yes.
But one thing that you did say about the reconciliation part and whatnot, my feeling is if you're in that type of scenario where you're trying to resolve things, you do have to have empathy. You do have to have empathy.
Yes. Yes.
There's one light that there's an amber light there's an amber light that keeps going off. It's like over here somewhere, and it keeps going off.
That looks like your input indicator. So if it's green, it's good. When it starts getting into amber, it's getting hot.
Amber.
If it hits red, you're too loud or you're too close, and that's why it might be breaking up. But I don't know why it would drop out.
Now I'm red flashing.
Because you're banging it around. That's why.
Now it's amber. So now I need it further away.
A little bit.
All right.
Something's getting it to overload. It might be banging on the desk, or it might be too close. We'll have to figure it out after the show.
All right. So, but empathy to me is if you're in this, you're describing this desire to resolve things with someone. See, I would like to be able, in the scenario I gave earlier, is to forgive and forget and move on. But I'm not there yet. And I don't have, I have empathy for anybody who's a patient or client of this woman's. So regardless, it's not all about me. But empathy, I see, if you're trying to resolve something with someone, you have to have empathy for that person, and you have to think about their perspective of things. And also what I think is beneficial is times that people have cut you a break and forgiven you. And when I say that, what I think about is what you said about trust. Do you remember what you said about trust?
Which time?
The beginning of the show. Right?
Not today. Another show a while ago. You said to me, trust is given. You give trust up front. And then if somebody defies your trust, then you deal with that and you're more cautious. but you
Right.
give trust up front. And I told you that I have a psychologist friend in the Atlanta area who said to me, Jill, can you imagine laying down trust as a cornerstone of a relationship? Because I feel trust is earned, not given. And that changed me between what he said and what you said. What greater gift could you give in a relationship but to offer that person your trust and not be on guard and saying, oh, well, something's going to happen here, so I can't trust you, and make them earn it. Just give it. And then if they screw it up, then you back off and you react accordingly. So I'm thinking forgiveness has to be something like that in a way. If you're in an intimate relationship with somebody that you want to resolve things with, you have to have that willingness to give forgiveness not up front, but if somebody does something to you. Otherwise, you're in the same boat as you would be if you didn't trust somebody and you made them earn it. Because what you were saying about that jibbing or jabbing or whatever it is, it would be the same thing. That person would constantly give you reminders that they're hurt and that you did sniping, whatever.
Yeah.
So it kind of feels that you have to be able to be willing to offer trust and forgiveness. Now, granted, you have to talk things through and understand it. How would you be if somebody, if you're married, which you are, but if you're married and your partner had an affair, could you forgive that?
Yeah, I think I could. But it would take a lot of work between me and that person, because I may have been doing something that triggered that person to do something.
That's a wonderful way of looking at it.
So
that really is a wonderful way.
I need to get the air clear so that both of us can realize the underlying causes of what's going on, and maybe we can find a reconciliation. That's my way of looking at it. So I would have to give it a chance. But at the same time, it's a challenge, because it's a deep betrayal of trust. Yeah, deep betrayal of trust.
Paul, what do you say on that?
Absolutely not.
Yeah,
Nope.
I hear you.
Yeah, because it hits close to home. I've been there very, within the last 10 years. And it's like there's no coming back from it for me.
And I understand that. I don't know that I could be tolerant of that myself.
No,
I really don't
30
know.
years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Second wife.
Mine too.
But I think that's a hard thing to come back from. But, I guess it depends on the relationship and where you want to go with it and what you want to do with it. In your situation and your situation, both of your situations, were you at the end of the rope and was that the end of the relationship, or did you continue on with resentment and hurt?
You want to go first, Paul?
Sure. Mine, without getting into too many details, was a breach of trust that had been negotiated, and we were very strong on our arrangement for what our trust was. And there were certain parameters for this contract that we had, and my former ex broke that with no remorse, and there was nowhere to go from that for me. It was like,
and so you walked away, or that was the end.
Yeah,
okay.
And pretty immediate, ended the relationship.
But so, did you love her though?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's just
which
that
makes
crosses
it
a line.
Yeah, which makes it even harder to forgive. Like when it's hard to be upset with someone who breaks your trust that you don't love. It's like, oh well, who cares? But if it's somebody intimate with you that you really care about does something like that, it's really hard to bounce back from, especially if they don't ask for your forgiveness, if they don't care. It's like that's what makes it even harder, because like you're saying, it has to be given, not earned. That's, at that point, it was like, what am I giving forgiveness to here? Because they're not asking for it, and I don't feel like giving it.
Right. They didn't. Right. It sounds like they didn't have any
No remorse.
empathy for what you, or remorse
None.
or anything that you were going. Yeah, that would be hard. I would go.
Yeah, it was
All right,
somehow
Jim.
my fault that it happened.
And maybe it was, like Jim was saying, maybe there was underlying issues, but it doesn't matter.
Underlying
if you're
issues
someone,
don't force a behavior that breaks your trust, that you've agreed on. It's like your behavior might cause somebody to leave the relationship, but not to break your trust.
Well, I believe that's a perfect opportunity instead of cheating, talking and sharing.
Right.
I had a situation that does not work for me because I believe in communication. So if somebody isn't going to communicate with me, I have no interest. Where do you go?
Right.
So to me, it's the same thing. I mean, that bottom line is communication and sharing and caring. And if somebody needs 6 weeks to figure something out, I'm not sitting around waiting for 6 weeks while they figure it out, when they should be communicating with me, talking to me, and sharing, and together you either work it out or you don't, one way or the other. But to shut down and pull away and not communicate or, think, well, I did nothing wrong. Screw that.
We've got a couple more calls we have to get to. Over 20 minutes after the top of the hour.
You have to. There's a rule now, a new rule. Go ahead. Who do we have?
We have Tanika.
All right, let's take her call.
Hi, Lady Fontaine.
How are you, Tanika?
Hi.
What's the story with you? What are you up to these days?
Right now, I'm just wondering if I should. Last month, in September, I was laid off of my job that didn't treat me really well, and I filed for benefits. So I was awarded the benefits, and then the job came and decided that I don't deserve the benefits, so they got taken away from me. So now I have the chance. Now I have the choice to go through with a hearing or not, which terrifies me. Because I don't know the first thing about court or judges or if I would even win this. So I really have not been having a great time. My life is kind of in limbo right now. And I'm just wondering if you see a good outcome with this, if I go through with it or not, like if my benefits would come back or if it would be horrible, and what you see my next job as. Because I've been trying to do this job thing and move away from New York for the longest, but nothing is going my way. And I'm just alone a lot in this, I feel.
Right, and I understand that. I really do feel that if you chose to pursue this and move forward, I don't even know that you'd end up in court. I think you could probably make a settlement. Could you get an attorney involved here so that you have good representation, or you can't afford that?
I don't think I could afford it.
Legal Aid Society.
Oh, good thought. Do something, because I feel if you pursued it, you would get your benefits. Look, they committed to it, and then they took it away from you. I don't feel they can do that. I feel they're taking total advantage of this. So I really do feel you would have a good case. And what I actually feel in the big picture of things, you'd be able to let this go and move on to your next job, just like we were talking about before. If you're getting some retribution or some resolution to this issue. See, what my concern is, you just walking away from a turmoil like that, you're holding on to it, and it's eating you up. I could feel it. It literally is eating you up inside, both the fear of how it would all go, as well as, what would actually happen. Is it worth my time or energy? I really feel if you could go to legal aid, get some representation or help with this, or some other, especially in today's day and age, there could be some other attorneys willing to help, that you would be in a situation where you would get the benefits and you'd be moving off to your new job with a better mindset. Now, Jim is laughing and smiling, so I want to hear what he has to say.
Oh, no, I'm just, Paul and I are having a chat
at the
same time while you're talking.
Here?
I'm sorry, yeah.
Oh, all right. I heard all that beeping away there.
Sorry.
All right, so I really feel that there's a benefit for you to be able to do that, Tanika. And I do feel when I say benefit, I mean emotional benefit as well as financial, that you'll get whatever benefits you're entitled to. As far as your next job, are you actively really searching? It feels like you're giving it a decent attempt, but I still feel it's limited in some way. So are you holding back and not really ready to look?
Yeah, because I am very still like wounded and traumatized from the stuff I went through at this job. So I kind of like have just been really.
You're numb still, right? You're numb. You need help
around people. I try to get the help, but in my area, they are not. They think, they have group therapy, and I'm not the kind of person that's going to talk about the real deep personal issues I need to get over in front of people. I really am not. I'm shy in front of people. So I'll make topical conversation, but I don't feel like that's getting to the root of my issues at all. And I'm going through a hard time right now with this. It's just really not a good moment for me at all.
Right, I know.
And with my job, I don't know. I don't know. It's overwhelming to think about getting a lawyer. I don't know if it'll cost me. And they have all the evidence. I don't have any evidence. I don't have any of my records. They have everything. So I feel like I'm going into a situation just bare, and they have all this stuff they could give the judge against me. Not that I wasn't a criminal there or anything. They just pulled something out of the woodwork that they could use to let me go while I was on leave of absence, because they looked at me as a problem child at that job. So while I chose to go on leave of absence from stress after the mandate, they took the time and combed through my record and all of a sudden pulled something out of the bag that everyone there is guilty of, and chose to use that as a reason for the court to not award me benefits from them. So I know it's bogus, but they have evidence, and I feel like intimidated kind of, even though I know it's them being screwy. I feel intimidated to go into this when they have all this evidence and everything. And I just have my word about the way I was treated and what I think this is.
Right, but I feel if you had an attorney involved, they would know what to do and how to handle this in a way that, and then plus you would have it offloaded from you, and you wouldn't be feeling all the feelings that you're feeling, because right now, you even said it, you feel very alone during this period. I feel you would actually feel like you have support. You would feel like somebody's there defending you on your behalf. And I believe an attorney isn't going to waste their time. They're going to say you have a case or you don't. If you don't, then it's your job to do what we've been talking about this whole show, about being able to forgive and walk away and start all over. Because one thing I want you to keep in mind, Tanika, and you've listened to a lot of our shows and we've spoken before, and that's that everything happens for a reason. And as one door shuts, another door opens. And the more we hold on to that, I want what I want when I want it, the more we're holding ourselves back from being able to move forward and reap those new benefits. You know, the universe, God, whatever your beliefs are, can have a whole different plan for you. Like you were saying, you know, they think of you as the bad child or whatever your words were. Maybe it's time you found a job where somebody truly appreciated you and valued you for what you bring to the table. So, you know, I think it's so important for you to go with the flow. You said you tried so hard to get out of New York, but nothing is going your way and you're not able to do that. So for right now, take that clue from the universe and do some inner work. And I'm sure most anybody, you know, there's a lot of people that want to get out of New York right now, and I certainly wouldn't blame you for doing that. But do some inner work. We talk about a lot of these inner questions to ask, why am I feeling that way? What am I running from? Because when you run from something, you never resolve it. It will follow you. As your names and faces could change, but the situations are always the same. So you'll run to another job and have the same scenario following you. Resolve this. And the only way to resolve it is with inner work, doing inner work, really exploring, what am I afraid of? Why am I afraid of it? Why does this intimidate me? Why are they doing this? Why is this happening? What am I supposed to see? All those inner questions, meditate on it, really reflect on it, keep asking yourself those questions. And you have the power, believe it or not, because right now you're very much in the victim mode. You have the power to get yourself out of the victim mode. The way I do it is I always let myself be a victim. I say, I'll give myself 2 hours a day, whatever it is. And then I start hitting myself with all these questions. And once you start trying to solve the problem by getting those answers, you're no longer a victim. You're now in control. And that's going to take you out of this mess and bring you onto a road of starting to manifest the things that you truly desire. You've got some really challenging situations going on, and I know it feels overwhelming. I could feel it in your energy, but I'm trying to think of a gentle way to say this. You have the ability to gain that inner strength and be able to deal with the reality of the situation and be able to move yourself forward with strength and with hope for the future. Nothing, there's no coincidences, there's no accidents. Everything happens for a reason. For right now, maybe you need to be in New York. Perhaps right now, maybe you need to be in a situation where you get closure on either this job or finding a new job. But don't run from this stuff, and try to understand why you have the reactions that you do, why you feel so scared and intimidated. They don't have enough to win this case. I could tell you from a psychic perspective, in a court of law, they'd fall flat on their face. Because if you have the right attorney representing you, all of that is hearsay, and none of it, they could bring in 10 people that could say they're guilty of the same thing. So I think with a good attorney, and I don't know if legal aid takes labor cases, though.
Well,
I don't know if
find
they
out
do or
if they
don't.
ask them. If they don't, then they can always find, tell you which way to go. They're very good about taking care of people.
And what I really think, especially in the world of COVID right now, you probably have some attorneys out there who are doing either pro bono work or who specialize in this stuff, and maybe you do get some sort of settlement and they get a percentage of it or something. I think someone's got to take control of your life. Right now, you're allowing life to take control of you. And once you take control of your life, you're going to be on the road to really getting all these pieces in place and having some level of closure and some ability for the future, for you to be able to look forward for the future. I'd also, since you're so stuck right now, I would say let yourself be stuck. Give yourself a certain period of time to be stuck, be it a week or a day or whatever it is, and then write yourself a commitment letter and make a commitment to yourself to find another job and be able to move. I don't know if it's move on, letting go, or forgive. Whatever Jim says it is, we'll go with that for today. But write yourself a commitment letter. Make a life plan for yourself. Otherwise, you're letting life control you. And if you don't know where you're going, how will you know when you ever get there? Jim, do you have any thoughts on this?
I was reminded, listening to your talk, about the quote that you gave today, where it says, we ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, famous? Actually, who are you not to be? You're a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure about you. You are meant to shine as children do. I like that. That's pretty good.
I love that quote.
Mm-hmm.
Really do. And I really feel you could shine and you could get your life back, and it could be better than it ever was. This is an opportunity for you to grow and learn. And don't think that they have the power over you. You're giving them the power by you're submitting to it. You're saying they're going to win. I'm going to lose. They've got the evidence. I don't. You're giving away all your power.
Yeah.
I think it's because, I'm sorry.
Go on.
I think it's because it's like my heart is like broken from this job and period, my step into the medical industry, like not working out, especially from this job, because this job is where, like it was me stepping away. Well, retail, like the medical field was like me stepping away from retail, which I had done my whole life. And then I was really hoping that it would work out for me. And then on top of that, I met a guy and it didn't work out. He just ended up using me. The people in these medical field offices, they just were really just cruel to me. So it's like I just feel still like I'm just still kind of like really hurt from my whole experience with it. And in these offices, like they just, I don't know, like I felt like they just despised me. They didn't see my value. They just really made me feel like I didn't belong and just didn't want me to talk or contribute. And I just didn't fit in. And I didn't fit in, but to go through that, it was hard. And I'm still kind of like wanting to take a moment to not have to deal with people, because like I feel I'm worried at like any job I'm worried about, because no jobs have been working out for me. So I'm just worried now about like any job. Because
what attracted you to the medical field in the first place?
First, I was a pharmacy tech, then I was reception.
No, what attracted you?
Because I just knew I had something more to offer than, well, first, definitely my feet. Like, I couldn't do retail anymore after doing it for like 20 years. I couldn't stand on my feet for 8 hours anymore. Right. And it also always felt like I had more that I could contribute. Mm-hmm. I know that, I have a smart mind. So, and I went through a health setback, and I wanted to find out what were these medications made of that they had to put in me to put me under and make me better and all that. So I wanted to learn about medication, and I was really inspired by it. And it was just such a cold industry for me to be in, very, very cold and technical. And I fell in love with someone, which I'm very picky about. And then he just ended up also being a user, didn't see my value either. And he was from that whole field. It was just hard. It just was really bad. And now I'm worried about any job. Like, what job is there going to be for me where I am appreciated, because like they haven't worked out.
Well, good luck. I would keep your vision in mind, what you wanted. See if there's another way you can get that, and, in the same field, another place.
Right, because I feel just because you didn't fit in where you were working doesn't mean that you're not going to fit in anywhere. And you've probably heard us say this a million times throughout the time we've done this show, and that is that if people aren't appreciating you, that means or valuing you, it means you're not valuing yourself. And that means there's inner work to be done. And you're giving so much of your power away by letting them affect now your inability to even go get another job or to have that trust and faith in yourself. See, that's showing that you don't value your own intelligence, your own brilliance, your own being gorgeous and fabulous, like the quote that both Jim and I read today. So to me, this is more about you finding yourself, and it's a wonderful opportunity to find yourself again. And then you've got your feet on strong, you got your head on strong, and then you fight this company or you walk away. Either way, do it with the right mindset. But right now, you're in a very vulnerable state, and I would say, have you ever read any of the articles that are on my blog